Everyone, welcome once again to ISIFE EDUBLOG. ISIFE EDUBLOG is where all the academic programs can be found. Just one-stop shop for all academic programs, especially for the senior secondary schools and JAMB candidates. Today, we welcome you to another English class. My name is Martin Ekba, and remember always to subscribe, to share, and to like these videos of ours. I do hope you are getting the best out of them and follow the assignments. Now, we have to look at verbs today. Verbs. Of course, this is a known topic, yet to what extent do we know it? So I urge you to attentively listen to this lesson. You will learn a whole lot of differences between what you will learn today and what you already know. Let's start from the definition of the term verbs. Here, we say a verb is a word that describes the action or state of being of the subject of the sentence. This is completely different from what you knew. I say this because much of the time, our teachers will say a verb is an action word or a doing word. Well, whether you say it's an action word or a doing word, you're saying the same thing. The word action and doing, the words action and doing are one and the same thing. So there's no difference. Now, if you say that a verb is only an action word, a lot of things will be missing. I'll tell you the consequence of this, the implication. Now, I am teaching. So I'm doing something. Teaching here represents an action or describes an action. Am helps us to put it in the right tense. So I am teaching. But if I say I am sick, have I performed any action? The answer is no. In I am teaching, am helps teaching to be in the progressive form or in the continuous form. But in I am sick, the only verb of the sentence is am. Am originally is an auxiliary verb, but in sentences like this, it becomes a main verb where it links the subject and its complement. Sick is an adjective, not a verb. And so, we'll understand that in I am sick, no action is performed by the subject. But in I am teaching, an ongoing action is being performed by the subject. Therefore, we can continue to say that a verb is an action word or a doing word and stop there. That is elementary. That is for the primary school and probably junior secondary 1 or 2. But generally, we should move on to describe verbs for what they are. Here, we said verbs also indicate possession. So 3 things the verb will help you do. Now, you belong to me. Let's put it that way. You belong to me. This verb belong indicates possession. There is no action here. Alright? He has a car. He has a car. There is no action here. The verb has indicates possession. So you see, verbs indicate action. Verbs indicate situations or conditions which we call state of being. For instance, in I am sick. Verbs indicate possession in you belong to me or he has a car. So these are the issues. What was the implication I said I would relate to you? If you continue to say that a verb is an action word alone, the tendency is that you continue to make such mistakes as you are looking good. I said it's a mistake, so I mean it is wrong. to say that somebody is looking good. The reason is this: look as a verb can be an action verb or a stative verb. That's what we have here: dynamic and stative. If you say, look at me, you get somebody to focus attention on you. That's an action. But if you say, you look good, that is appreciating somebody else's appearance. There is no action there whatsoever. And in the absence of an action, the ing form is not used. So don't say you are looking good. Say you look good. And that is why we are discouraging people from simply saying a verb is an action word. If all verbs are action words, then there is nothing wrong with you are looking good. But all verbs are not. Alright? So, let's look at, of course, on my board we have examples of verbs. Let me wipe to create more space for us. So, verbs include go, stay, buy, be, do, have, will, shall. Not to worry, especially for these verbs, the auxiliary verbs. Here we have main verbs in go, stay, buy, but here we have the auxiliary verbs be, do, have, will, shall, and the rest of the modal auxiliary verbs. But we will take our time to get this as different topics as we progress. For now, let us look at types of verbs. Types of verbs. Again, we classify verbs basically into two. The first one is the main verb, which is otherwise known as lexical verb. The main verb is otherwise known as lexical verb. Right? These are the verbs that can stand on their own in a sentence. In fact, a lexical verb could as well be a sentence. If I say go, go, I've made a sentence just by using the verb go. If I say come, again, I've made a request, and so I have made a sentence as well. I may add here if I want to, but if I say come, you understand what I mean, and that is a sentence. So the lexical verb or the main verb can stand on its own in a sentence without the assistance of the auxiliaries, and can also be a sentence of their own, as we've seen here. Again, we have the auxiliary verbs. That is the second type of verb, the auxiliary verb. We also know as the helping verbs. The helping verbs, auxiliary. Now, this is where these ones belong. The verb be is an auxiliary verb, do an auxiliary verb, have an auxiliary verb. But there is also an addition to that. These three verbs, which we'll open up later, be, do, and have, are both auxiliary verbs and main verbs. I think I gave you an example earlier on, but let's just rewind. If I say, he is driving, is a member of the verb be. Is a member of the verb be. Now, I have used is along with the driving. Driving is the main verb, while is the auxiliary verb. But what if we say he is the driver? In the absence of a main verb, is becomes the only verb of this sentence. Though we call it a linking verb, you can't help describing it as the main verb in this sentence. Right? Of course, it is the main verb because it is the only verb. So, he is the driver. In this case, is working as the main verb of this sentence, while here it is working as an auxiliary verb. Now, in he has arrived, he has arrived and he has a pen. Right? Here, has is the only verb. Therefore, indicating ownership of the pen as in this structure. He has arrived. Has is an auxiliary verb assisting the main verb arrived. So you see here it is auxiliary, here it is main verb. That's the quality of these auxiliary verbs we call the primary auxiliary verb. 1, 2, 3 are called primary auxiliary verb. The basic difference is that they are both used as main verbs and as auxiliary verbs, while the modal auxiliary verbs are only used as auxiliary verbs. So have that in mind. The modal auxiliary verbs are only used as auxiliary verbs. They include will, shall, name them, can, can't, should, and all that. Like I said, all of this will be topics of their own as we go on. Then, talking about the main verbs, we have the main verbs to include regular and irregular verbs, finite and non-finite verbs, dynamic and stative verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. Just for introduction, the regular verb takes the ed form, alright, for the past and past participle. The irregular verb you cannot predict. So, want is a regular verb. The past tense is wanted. The past participle is also wanted. Past and past participle, wanted. Then, the verb come is an irregular verb. Come, came, come. So you see, present tense come, past tense came, past participle come. Irregular, irregular. Then finite. The finite verb is the verb that you use as a verb that is actually working as a verb in a sentence. Sounds funny, right? I agree, but you have to realize that sometimes a verb may be working as something else. A verb may be working as a noun. A verb may also be working as an adjective. Alright, so when a verb is working as a noun or as an adjective, we call it a non-finite verb. A non-finite verb. But when a verb is actually doing the work of a verb in a sentence, it is called a finite verb. Not to worry, all of this shall come your way. Dynamic means that the verb expresses an action. Stative means that the verb does not express an action, but expresses a state of being. Transitive means that the verb can move its action to the object. Can move its action to the object. Transitive movement. That is to say, he bought a house. So you see that if we don't add a house to this sentence, he bought might not express a full-fledged meaning. He bought what? So we need the house to complete the meaning of the verb. But in an intransitive verb, we don't need it. I swam. I swam. I do not need to add a river. In fact, it will not be, except you want to mention the exact river or stream that you swam. Except that. But I swam means I had a bath, dipping myself in the waters. The same way, he comes here. So here is an adverb. It's not a noun. We only need here to define the place where this fellow comes. But we don't need a noun. We don't need an object. So that's what we mean by transitive and intransitive verb. I promise you that all of this will be topics of their own as you follow this program, and will give you details of errors most Nigerian users of the English language commit with these verbs and give you the corrections. As always, we are here for the best you can get in education. Subscribe to our channel, share our videos, like them so we can grow. We are for you as we know you're for us. Thank you so much for being here.